Hi, friends. Happy Wednesday. Let's go live on Instagram. All right, here we go. We're live on Instagram and all the other places on the internet. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Wednesday. My kids are home this week. Again, it feels like they're always on vacation. They go to a French immersion school and so follow the French holiday system, and so they have a lot of break, which is both beautiful and chaotic for me, right? Anyways, they are currently busy watching their movies, so I thought, okay, let me stay true to my Wednesday live. I have to make them lunch anyways. One of the things that I thought would be fun is, because I haven't cooked it in a while live, is my mac and cheese sauce. My son is half made of dates and cashews and the other half made of this mac and cheese sauce. So I said, okay, they want to eat it. Let me just make it. And Minnie is joining in the comments. Minnie, hope you're feeling better. Poor Minnie's got the flu, recovering from the flu. She's supposed to come. I've had to delay her flight like 3 times already. So I don't know, man. I hope you're going to make it this Friday. If not, please let me know because we need to change your flights. Um, but anyway, so I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to try to make this one a quick one because my kids are hungry. Um, but yeah, my name is Dr. Simran. If you're new here, thank you for being here. If you've been with me for a while, I appreciate you always for tuning in and sharing your thoughts and insights, asking such great questions. I practiced palliative care for 10 years, really cared for the sickest of the sick patients, and then became board certified in lifestyle medicine, became a health and wellness coach, became a culinary coach, and really, from my own experience of becoming the patient, learned how to use food as medicine, learned how to use our lifestyle as medicine to not just live really well today with a good quality of life, but really, create these small habits every day that are going to, you know, give us the biggest bang for our buck down the road to reduce risk of all the chronic diseases that are affecting us at alarming rates today. And then also live well, right? Because it's not about our lifespan, it's about our health span. I have had so many people, live into their 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, but they can't do anything for themselves. Yesterday, my husband asked me last night, he was doing his gratitude, and he asked me, what are you grateful for? And I said, I'm grateful for a body that works. I'm grateful for feet. I'm grateful that I'm able to get out of bed. I'm grateful that I'm able to do everything for myself. I'm grateful that I'm not dependent on anyone to, care for me, to feed me, to wash me, to take me to the bathroom. These are things that for a glimpse of time I had to experience a little bit after my surgeries in 2020, which really sparked the fire for me, to make, lifestyle my non-negotiable. But I've seen it. I've seen people existing and not living. And so I've really come to understand the difference between a health span and a lifespan. And today, we live in an era where modern medicine is allowing us to live a very long time because of medications, because of surgeries, because of things like that. But just because we live a long time doesn't mean we're living well, right? So a lot of times people end up existing and not truly living. And just think about it for yourself. If you're listening, think about to the last time you were feeling really sick. This week my mom had the flu. She couldn't get out of bed for like 5 days. She hasn't been able to get out of bed. And that's just the flu. You're going to get better. Oh, hey, Adam. Hey. Okay, so fun story. I decided I was going to make mac and cheese. And the key ingredient for my mac and cheese is nutritional yeast, because we're making a vegan mac and cheese, right? So there's no dairy, there's no real cheese in here. We're using nutritional yeast. And fun fact, I decided to make this recipe, and as I was taking everything out, I realized I don't have any nutritional yeast. So then I reached out to my amazing neighbors and I went and got some nutritional yeast. So, fun fact, the longest study in human beings is called the Harvard Human Development Study. It's like, it spans over 80 years. It's like, it's followed all these families for generations, and they basically wanted to see, like, what helps people live a long, happy, healthy life. And the number one predictor, if you know it, drop it in the chat. I want to see if you guys know what's the number one lifestyle factor that determines longevity. Like, is it the food we're eating? Is it, and obviously it's a little bit of everything, but what's the number one in this study that they found? The food we're eating, exercise, sleep, stress, social connections, substances. What would you say the number one predictor of longevity is? If you know it, drop it in the chat. So it's actually social connections. The people that we surround ourselves with, the community that we have, the people that we're hanging out with, really, one, I say this all the time, show me who you hang out with and I'll show you who you become, right? So we pick up each other's habits. And so if you are hanging out with people that really prioritize their health, then you're more likely to prioritize your health, versus if you're hanging out with someone who's drinking all the time, then you're more likely to drink all the time. So that's just kind of how it is. And what this study, the Harvard study, showed is that our social connections are truly what not only bring us the most happiness, but also are linked to our longevity. And so we have honestly the best neighbors ever. So just a shout out to all of our neighbors, and obviously my family. Love my family. All right, so let's get to the recipe. So when I told my husband that I wanted to go plant-based, I guess we went vegetarian 10 years ago this year. So in 2015, after our wedding, we went vegetarian. And then it wasn't until 2018 where we stopped dairy completely and went plant-based vegan. And his first reaction, I mean, he's French Canadian. His first reaction was like, okay, well, that makes no sense. I love pizza. I love mac and cheese. I love all of these things, especially that had a lot of dairy in them. And so over the years, ask my mom, I've had to literally figure out like the plant-based alternatives to all of these comfort foods. And if you're someone who's looking to add more plants to your plate, if you're someone who, and again, you don't have to go vegan, you don't have to go fully plant-based, but if you're just someone who's trying to, swap out kind of the unhealthier comfort foods, right? Like traditional mac and cheese or traditional cheese pizza or traditional, foods that are typically very calorie dense, rich, with a healthier option, I want to be here to tell you that there is lots of options for you. And you can honestly today, with all the knowledge we have, with all the information we have, like you can recreate some of the most amazing dishes in a healthier way and still have all the benefit of the comfort. So don't feel like you have to give up everything, right? And I say this all the time. It's about an abundance mindset. Toomey Tooms, come here, big boy. Someone must be outside. It's about an abundance mindset, right? So when you are looking to get healthier, when you are looking to change your diet, think about the things that you can add to your life versus the things that you can't eat or you're restricting, right? Because as you start to eat more nutrient rich, fiber rich, protein rich, healthy fat rich diet, your palate is going to change. It's not going to want the sugary, processed, calorically rich food anymore, right? Your palate's going to change, your brain's going to change. And so with that change, it takes time. Right? So focus more on all the things like I can eat, focus on abundance. And naturally, as you're eating these healthier foods, it's going to kind of crowd out the unhealthy things. Like you're just going to get full and you're not going to really crave it. You're not going to want it. And then obviously, like if you're in some of my groups and, we coach together and all that stuff, that I talk a lot about the power of fasting. That also helps to reset the mind. That also helps to reset our metabolic health and all of that. So for today, I'm going to show you this recipe that honestly I have crafted over the past 10 years, because mac and cheese was one of those things that me and my husband both love, except here, you get a very nutritionally dense sauce. So I actually haven't made the pasta yet, but typically the pasta I used is also more nutritionally dense, right? So we want to go for instead of like white processed flour pasta, which has nothing but, white flour in it. We want to go for something that's a little bit healthier. So I really like this brand. It's called Kaizen, and basically they make their this pasta is made out of lupini beans. And then, of course, you can get like chickpea pasta, you can get lentil pasta. And what this does is not only does it add more fiber content, so it kind of helps with the digestion and absorption and your blood sugar control after, but also it has a lot more protein, like way more protein. So, for example, 2 ounces of this pasta, so 4 ounces is half a cup. So, half a cup of this pasta has 15 grams of fiber and 20 and no, wait a second, 2 ounces, so 30 grams of fiber and 40 grams of protein, which is absolutely insane. Like that is insane. So this is a very, very fiber rich, protein rich pasta. So if you're someone that loves pasta, I would go for this brand. And actually, if you're in the US and you've been on Thrive Market, that's where I get all of my pantry staples. And this pasta is actually on sale right now. So you can go check it out. Okay, so for the base of this, right, we're gonna use a nice healthy pasta, but for the base of the sauce, and I've already steamed my potatoes and carrots. So we have potatoes and carrots as the base. So this is gonna be, again, very rich in fiber, vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, and then what's gonna give us the creaminess is cashews. Now, if you are someone, so I already soaked my cashews right here. Cashews don't have a whole lot of fiber in them, and they are a little bit higher in fat. Now, if you're someone that's trying to lose weight, or you're someone that already has metabolic dysfunction or diabetes or heart disease, and you're trying to work on, improving or reversing those conditions, cashews you want to be a little bit careful with. You don't want to overdo it on the cashews because they are quite high in fat and don't have a whole lot of fiber. So what you could do is sometimes, because the kids' school is nut free, I do give them this mac and cheese for lunch. So sometimes instead of doing cashews for the creaminess, I use tofu. So you can just substitute. I think the recipe calls for like a cup of cashews, soaked cashews. I just put in a block of tofu instead, and it still gives it the same creaminess. And I know, like, if you go online, there's so many recipes now for mac and cheese sauce, right? So different people do different things, but some people will use different, like sunflower seeds or other seeds or nuts as the creaminess. So there's a lot of options here. And I've also seen, instead of people using potatoes, I've seen people using butternut squash or sweet potato, but I find that that has like a distinct taste. And this combination, I feel like it just is very, very good. Then I already not stir fried, but I already sauteed my onion and garlic. So again, the base of this recipe is so powerful because you have, vegetables, right? So you have starchy potatoes, but again, I actually cooked them and then I refrigerated them for a couple of days. So that actually increases the resistance starch, which then reduces the glycemic index of the potatoes. So that is one trick that you could use if you're trying to reduce the glycemic index of this dish. But then you're gonna have onions, red onions, and garlic, which again come from the allium family, right? And we know that garlic, onion are, everything in that family, bok choy, scallions, they're super, super good for cancer risk reduction, for immune boosting properties. So this recipe already, before even adding any of the spices, is super healthy. So what we're gonna do, and the best part is it's really a blender sauce. So I just steamed my potatoes and carrots. I'm gonna put those in here. And whenever I make this sauce, you guys know I'm a mom of two and also trying to, build my business and all of that. And I mean, I'm not working in the hospital anymore, so that gives me some time. But honestly, now that I'm living the life I'm living now, uh, and I was doing everything before that I'm doing now, but I was also working at the hospital. I'm honestly not sure how I was doing it. I don't know. It's wild. I will say that it's so nice just from a mental health perspective to be able to be at this point where I don't have to go to the hospital, and I can work on building my business from home so that I'm able to be there for my kids and for the pets and the house and my husband and everything. I feel like I'm the foundational pillar of our house. And then when I start to crack, I call my mom. So, um, if you guys have any questions, I always say this. I find it funny when I talk to myself. So if you have any questions or thoughts or comments, please drop them in the chat, because otherwise I start to lose it when I'm on live by myself. Usually my mom comes, but like she hasn't joined me in weeks, so I'm feeling very lonely. Okay, so what we're gonna do is so we added our cooked potatoes, our cooked carrots, our sauteed onions and garlic, and you just want to saute the onion and garlic until it gets like translucent and you can start to like smell the aroma. And also, just a caveat, guys, I am actually not a cook. I I'm not a chef. But my mom is like an incredible cook, and I honestly believe that becoming a good cook, just like anything else in life, really is about practice. So the more you get in the kitchen, the more you fail, the more you burn stuff, the better you're going to get at figuring out how it all works. 10 years ago, a lot of people don't believe me when I say this, considering what if you just came into my life or just found me, you would think I've been cooking forever and it's my, most favorite thing to do in the world. 10 years ago, I didn't know how to cook. I only learned how to cook when I found out I carried my genetic mutation. And I was like, okay, wow, food can make such a huge impact to help me reduce my risk of cancer. And then I'm going to have children. I'm going to set their foundation for health. And it all starts at home. It all starts in the kitchen, right? And so I learned how to cook. And actually, a lot of those like meal delivery kits, that's how I learned how to cook, on top of calling my mom all the time because she lives in Canada. But Lily's saying your mom is the best. Yes, she is. She's so awesome. Lily's saying I love all your tips for every recipe. Love it. Monica, Minnie's the best. Minnie, you're getting so much love. Camelia, great. I got to see you live again. I'm traveling in the Caribbean. We'll try the lupini bean and chickpea pasta. Yes, 100%. I'm always thinking, like, how can I add more nutritional value to this meal? How can I add more nutritional density to this meal? There's always a way to make it, to give you like the next 2 millimeter shift of, value. So what I was about to say is, if you've been following me for a while, that I love meal prepping and batch prepping. Like I said, I'm a mom of two, busy, 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 just like everyone else. And so work smarter in the kitchen, not harder, right? So if I'm already doing all this work, I might as well double the recipe, and then I freeze it in 8 ounce mason jars, and then when we need it, especially for school lunches and stuff, I can just pull it out, and there you go. The next day I have a sauce ready to go. So all right, so what does the spice situation look like? So I already pre-measured all the spices, but what we're going to put in here is salt. We're going to put in here cumin. We're going to put some mustard powder, and we're going to put smoked paprika. Okay. And I put my cashews soaked. Remember to soak the cashews, because otherwise they won't like fully pulverize or blend. And then this, right, back to the nutritional yeast. Thanks, Katie. I love you. I will get you some more nutritional yeast. Um, but this is what gives it the cheesiness. And this is what I was talking about. Like, there's so many ways to add nutritional density to your meal. So nutritional yeast, it oftentimes ends up being fortified with vitamin B12. So it's actually a great thing to add to your meals that are like, you want like a cheesy flavor. So think about like, like a scramble, like an egg scramble or a tofu scramble, obviously like a cheesy sauce like this, an Alfredo sauce. Like this is a great great thing to add because it gives it that cheesy flavor, but it's also fortified with all your B vitamins, especially vitamin B12, which we know is really, really, really important for energy, for our red blood cells. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is you guys can just talk in the chat with me again for a second here. I'm going to show you what this looks like. I'm gonna mute myself so you don't have to hear it though. So, all right, guys, check this out. And here's the thing with this sauce, you can do so much with it. So, if you want this recipe, you can comment cheese after my live is over. After my live is over, I'm gonna repost this live. And on the replay, if you comment cheese, I will send you this recipe. But here's the thing, there's so much you can do with this. Like, we use it as a mac and cheese sauce, but think about it. You can pour it on top of nachos. You can use it as a queso sauce. You can use it as a spread for pasta. You can, I mean, anything that you would do with like a cheese sauce, you can do with this sauce. Now, my recipe is very kid friendly. Although my husband and I love it just like this, there's a way to up level this. So you can add like pickled jalapenos to this. You can add red chilies to this. You can add anything to this to make it spicier as well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm done, and now it's done, right? So now it's done. So you see you have a whole blender full of sauce. Probably like for a family of 4, I would use half of this in a box of pasta, and that'll be our meal. And then I'll usually add a side salad or some like vegetables on the side as well. But even if your kids don't eat the vegetables on the side, we usually do steamed broccoli with a salad with the mac and cheese. But even if you don't do that, you can like be in peace knowing that your kids are eating this, because it's literally made out of, you know, carrots, potatoes, onions, garlic, and all sorts of really good spices. So the nutritional value here is amazing. So I normally wouldn't pour it in here, but I'm just gonna, actually, let me pour it in a mason jar so that you can see the consistency. That way I don't waste any of it. So, and it freezes really, really, really well. Okay, so let's show you the consistency. Like, it's very creamy. And anyone that I've ever made this for that's not vegan, like, loves it. And they're just like shocked at how tasty it is. Just a side note, what you want to do, obviously taste it, adjust the seasonings to your liking. But one thing you want to do is make sure you're using nutritional yeast and not brewer's yeast, or like the yeast that you would bake with, right? Like, there's different types of yeast. So just make sure you're using the right one, because I've had some people use brewer's yeast and they're like, "Ah," it's like so gross. It is my mini saying it's an all-time favorite for everyone in the house. Try this recipe, it's so good. Yes, I want this cheese recipe. I'm trying so hard to do more vegan recipes, and trying new vegetables, new spices, just new everything. It's honestly so good, right? And the thing with dairy is, guys, like, it's especially cheese. Like, cheese is the #1 source of saturated fat in the American diet, and like, no matter where you look, there is cheese in everything. And you know, especially like I said, if you are someone that is struggling with weight, struggling with metabolic dysfunction, struggling with, you know, chronic diseases, if you can swap those saturated fats like cheese for polyunsaturated fats, like olive oil and avocado, it's going to be much better for you. But also, dairy seems to be pro-inflammatory, and a lot of that has to do with the conventional farming, dairy farming industry, right? Like there's a lot of hormones and antibiotics and just a lot of things that they're doing. And there's a lot of documentaries on this and research you can do of your own. But I think when it comes to a link with health, the studies are a little bit indeterminate, right? Like there are some studies that suggest a high intake of dairy can lead to a higher intake of bone fractures and hip fractures and certain cancers, especially hormone-driven cancers like breast and prostate cancers. But then also, like I said, it's really, really high in saturated fats. So, if you're eating dairy or cheese with every meal, that can affect your metabolic health, your risk of heart health, right? Heart disease. And again, like dairy and animal products have no fiber in them. Whereas if you were to make a sauce like this, which is just cheesy and creamy and yummy, you're getting fiber, you're getting protein, you're getting healthy fats, you're getting vitamins, minerals, you're getting antioxidants, phytochemicals, like all sorts of good stuff as well, right? And again, like if you're not someone that wants to go all in plant-based, what if you just did, 1 week you did a traditional mac and cheese, another week you did a plant-based mac and cheese, you play with some recipes, but little habits like this over time will make a big impact, even if you don't go, all in. That's okay. I think the other thing a lot of people notice is that dairy can be very constipating. And if you end up, like if you're someone that is bothered by constipation a lot, and you end up going to a GI doctor, that's usually one of the first things they'll suggest is try doing a dairy-free diet for 6 to 8 weeks and see how that helps with the GI, with the bowel regularity, right? It can cause a lot of bloating. It can cause, a lot of people will say, oh, I'm lactose intolerant. Well, majority of the population of the world is actually lactose intolerant. So if you look at the statistic, I think it's like up to 70 to 75% of the world is actually lactose intolerant. So once we stop breastfeeding, we get rid of that enzyme that allows us to break down the milk protein as efficiently. So, I think you just, it's you're not alone if you're feeling like IBS type symptoms after having dairy, constipation, diarrhea, bloating. You're not alone. Like lactose intolerance is very, very, very common. And then the other thing is it is kind of pro-inflammatory, so it can affect if you're someone that deals with skin issues, eczema, acne. Trialing off dairy can help with that as well, because it can be pro-inflammatory. So I don't know if you guys have any more questions. Otherwise, I have to go feed my children lunch. My sauce is ready, and I'm going to boil some pasta and I'm just going to roast some broccoli, and that's it. And then we're going to have a really wonderful nutrient dense dish. And Monica saying, I used to love dairy products and feel so much better now that I'm dairy free. 4 years dairy free. Go good for you, Monica. That's amazing. And you know what? A lot of people will say that. You're not alone. And I think, there is kind of this addictive property to dairy as well. It is calorically rich, especially when you talk about cheese in particular. Like it's calorically rich, it's salty, it's like it just hits all of those dopamine receptors. Like one of the things, and I said this myself, right? When people talk about being plant-based, it's like I can give up anything, but I can't give up cheese. Like there is an addictive property there. So, and I said that myself, like I can give up anything, I can't give up cheese, right? So it's a matter of, like I said, rewiring the brain, rewiring the palate. So it's just, you don't go cold turkey. You don't radically just stop everything. It's like a stepwise approach. And that was the first thing that we did, right? 10 years ago, we literally made a list of the 10 foods that we absolutely love, and like traditional foods that we absolutely love. Mac and cheese and pizza were on that list, and then we made another list of plant-based the plant-based version of our favorite comfort food. And until we found a good version for all 10 dishes that we loved, we didn't fully cut out dairy. So think about it as a journey, think about it as a transition. But another person in the chat saying, I gave up dairy 5 years ago. A lot of people are recognizing the health challenges that come with dairy, and just like the everyday quality of life that you experience when you get off dairy is just amazing. So I don't have anything else, so I'm gonna get going, and I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. I hope you share this, and if it was helpful, share the replay with someone who you think would love this sauce. Bye, guys. Comment cheese if you want the recipe. Yeah? Okay, bye.